Alright, greetings. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings everyone. My name is Muhammad Samsul Arifin Efendi with my student ID 230547 and 00. Here I want to present my presentation in which part of strategies for TEFL task in which given a few videos ago. And for my presentation, it's titled Direct Strategies for Dealing with Language. As to keep things simple, let's just move to the first material, in which what is direct strategies. Direct strategies, in the context of strategies for TEFL, are methods that push a much more active and straightforward interactions, such as directly talking, directly any other direct acts. And as for its components, direct strategies consists of three strategies. As for the first one, it's memory. It's memory strategies. The second one, it's cognitive strategies, and for the third one, it's compensation strategies. Memory strategies usually can be simplified into enhanced recall. Cognitive strategies can be simplified by comprehend and apply, and compensation strategies can be simplified by convey meaning despite limitations. And now, moving to our very first strategies, in which memory strategies. Memory strategies, or also known as mnemonics, are methods that improve learning by structuring information and materials in a much more effective way. So make it more simple, but easier to process for learners, of course. As this originally utilized for memorizing speeches and practical skills, these techniques have become important for optimizing learners' brain's extensive storage capabilities. As for memory strategies, fall under the CARE framework, in which stand for creating mental linkage, applying images and sounds, reviewing well, and employing actions. As for CARE framework itself, C stands for creating mental linkage, in which arrange information by grouping, such as sorting words based on their theme, like cat and dogs in animals, king fruit and strawberry on fruit, and tomato and carrots on vegetables. And now, connecting and expanding, in which relating the new ideas to what the learners already know. So let's give example like a bedroom. A bedroom can be connected into several things in that usually persist in a bedroom, such as bed or study table or maybe study lamp or laptop, and etc. And maybe and creating mental linkage can be used to and creating mental linkage can be also applied by placing in context by using words within sentences or narratives. Now A, which stands for applying images and sounds, which incorporates visual representations for abstract concepts, creates diagrams to illustrate relationships, utilize key terms for auditory visual connections, and employ rhymes or phonetic hints for sound representation. So in this case, we might, for example, like giving learners audio, like some kind of audio, some kind of video. Give them some kind of video that comes from YouTube or any other study website. Now R, which stands for reviewing well. With structured reviewing utilize spaced repetition to enhance memory retention, as it progressively extending the time between each review session. So, in this case, if the learners learn a new language, they can remember it. They can remember it. So, those new words will not just fly to the cloud after they learn it. So there is no such thing as wasting time with study. And now E, as for the last one, which stands for applying actions, incorporate kinesthetic or tactile learning by using physical actions such as acting out phrase, such as a big, like spreading your hand, or small by like this, or hands-on methods like flashcard or color coding, or maybe give learners some kind of presentations with colorful colors which can captivate their attentions, or maybe give them something like gamification of study, so they maybe got bored with regular theoretical study, so we might want to give them some kind of gamification of study material in it. And now moving to the next part, application in language learning. Memory strategies may be used to transform abstract language ideas to familiar and personalized connection, in which visual learners may benefit from images, auditory learners benefit from audio, and kinesthetic learners from interactive activities. In this case, kinesthetic learners are pretty similar with visual, so I think there is just a slight difference between them two. And now, by customizing techniques to fit individual learning preference, such as using keywords for auditory learners, in which in this case, using keywords refers to give them some kind of simplified word, like if we use some kind of a very long sentence to describe one thing, just try to simplify it by one or two words to make it easier to process for our learners. So in this case, yeah. And now for semantic maps for visual learners. In this case, like I said before, presentation or any other media that may captivate learners' attention. Now, language students can also navigate the extensive vocabulary learning process and achieve fluency more effectively, so they may sound like a native speakers. And now moving to the second strategies, we got cognitive strategies, in which cognitive strategies are methods that assist learners in processing, comprehending, and remembering new language information. And these strategies also focus on the ways in which students think, structure, and handle language data to enhance their learning effectiveness. So basically, giving them a strategy so their learning process may get optimized, like from usually 30 minutes to 15 minutes. So in the end, a much more optimized learning strategies. Now B, cognitive strategies are part of PRAC framework, in which stands for practicing receiving and sending messages, analyzing and reasoning, and creating structures for input or output, in which PRAC framework in which PRAC or PRAC framework stands for P for practicing, in which consists of repetition, real-life practice, or combining repetition or imitating sounds or expressions, such as we do not strike if we found a word that is pretty much foreign to us, such as let's just take autumn. If we don't know how to spell it, we might want to follow how native speakers spell it, like autumn. We just, at least with this imitation, native speakers may understand what we mean to say. And now real life practice, practicing in discussions, reading, or writing in genuine situations, or maybe for students that have that have social anxiety, they might want try to talk to AI, because that's the easier way if people have social anxiety. Now combining blending familiar phrases in innovative way, such as creating a nonsense vocabulary, but in the end, those nonsense vocabulary may, I don't know, may improve our learners vocabulary overall vocabulary collection. And now for R, in which receiving and sending messages. As for the first one, quickly identifying main ideas or specific details through skimming or scanning, and I think that's pretty clear, so I don't think I need to explain it any further. And now utilizing resources such as apps and glossaries to enhance understanding and communication. So if we did use a translation app or any other language learning app such as Duolingo or any other similar apps, we use it not only as a training, as a regular training that we might forget, or we just use translator app to get to know a word that we don't know, and then strike up forget about it later. No, we need to make sure we remember what we learned and what those words are that we don't know, so in the future, if we did face that same words again, we will not act like a clueless individual, but we can strike up, understand what those words mean. And now A, for analyzing and reasoning. For the first one, it's deductive reasoning by using grammar rules in unfamiliar situations. And I think it's pretty clear. Using grammar rules in unfamiliar situations means applying grammar rules in different way in which they were not meant to put in that way. Even though it's wrong, but in the end, it's good for practicing in learners, practicing overall vocabulary or overall skills for learners. Now, contrastive analysis or examining the differences between native and target language structures. In this case, we compare how native speakers build their sentence structure and how we as a foreigner build our English structure, and then compare them. And it's up in the end, it's up to the learners whether they want to sound more like a native speaker or stick more into the structure that they learn. And now C, for creating structure. First, note-taking, structuring talks through outlines or concept maps, such as we give them this map about fruits. What can be associated with fruits, like tree or leaves or roots, that's something like that. And now summarizing, reducing information to capture essential details, basically the same as R, in which we trained to look for the main idea in an overall large article. So we do not waste any time, as we know what we want and what we need. And then, moving to the next part, application and consideration. First, naturalistic practice. For application, we got natural practice such as engaging in conversation and immersing ourselves in media to enhance our fluency by providing context for learning. So we do not talk without a direction. So we know what we want to talk about, and we know what we mean by choosing that word. So in the end, we didn't end up as a tomfoolery or a joke for others. Second, interlanguage issues. Excessive dependence on translation or transfer can lead to persistent mistakes such as Spanglish or strategic approach aids to clarifying rules, in which in this case we combine two languages, but when we combine them, we accidentally got so comfortable in which we don't even bother to learn the actual language and instead use our own terms in those words, such as, for example, Indonesian people usually call wi usually call wi Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi, or any other words that's similar. In which in this case we don't even bother to learn the actual pronunciation because we have got used to it. And now for the third, organized input and output. Emphasizing, summarizing, and taking notes helps manage information overload and improve retention, as by customizing prac to our personal preferences to meet our personal objective or some kind of personal goals. So we only take what we need and do what we want. So the reason so we don't need to learn something that we don't need, because learning what we don't need in the end will only ends up forgotten in the end. And that's it. Focusing on naturalistic practice for conversational fluency or using contrastive analysis for grammar proficiency, students enhance their language learning experience. So I think that's pretty clear. Now moving to the last one, we got compensation strategies, in which compensation strategies are methods that learners employ to bridge communication gaps when they don't have required vocabulary, grammar, or fluency to fully articulate their thoughts. These techniques enable students to continue communicating even if they are unsure of a particular word or grammatical structure. So in this case, we practically use synonym or body language. B. Conversation strategies are part of GO framework, in which means guessing intelligently and overcoming limitation. These strategies assist learners in addressing gaps in their language skills. So in this case, it's fine if we don't know what words we need to use. We might want to resort into the synonym or just use our body language, as long as people who we mean to talk to understand what we want to say. And now, for Go strategies, G stands for guessing intelligently, in which includes linguistic clues, in which stands for use non-vocabulary, cognates, or grammar, such as inferring French association sounds but lucrative via English or French root, in which in this case we in which we tell them, such as we tell people who we talk to, give them select example what we mean to, like we want to talk about cloud, we say cloud, in which those native speakers or our talk partner may incorporate it with cloud. It's either we ends up cloud if they say cloud, we said no. If they say cloud, yes, then that's what we mean. And then other clues, in which context, visual, or cultural knowledge, again deducing vendor context, visual, or cultural knowledge. So in this case, if we don't know a word, we might want to point something that resemble them, such as pointing at people who is standing. So what we mean is slacking, but we slacking or any other similar things in the end. That's it. And now O, or overcoming limitations in speaking or writing. First, avoidance. Skip unfamiliar topic or terms in which skips topics that we are not familiar with. In which I think I need to learn this also because I keep talking, but I honestly, yeah. Second, adaptation. Simplify messages. Use synonyms or kind words such as bringing our notebook or bringing our phone that have some vocabulary that we find it hard to remember, but we find it important to use on our everyday life. And now, nonverbal tactics such as gestures, mime, or pausing to ask help, in which pretty simple to understand. Gestures, which means body language, or yeah, gestures. Now, pausing ask to help. This may help too, because in the end, no misunderstanding can be built from choosing wrong words. And now, code switching as insert native language words. If the learners know about our native language, we might want resort to switching a bit to our native language, so our partner in talk understand what we mean. It doesn't matter if we don't know about it, but if we don't know about it and switch to our native language, it's okay as long as our partner that is talking to us is understand what we mean. And now for application and potential issues. First, fluency preservation. Facilitate smooth conversations as it encouraging practice and self-assurance. Second, educational prospects. Techniques like circumlocution or seeking assistance may enhance vocabulary and cultural insights. Third, adaptability. Useful in both informal discussions, like using gestures when we are talking with our friends or an other who is close to us, like giving this if we don't know, or giving this if we mean big, if we giving this if we mean small. And now, casual writing, conveying messages. Like if we don't want to strike making people uncomfortable, we might want resort to something that is softer, such as if we mean to say you are not funny, we might want to resort such as I don't understand the joke. It's a bit harsh, but at least it's much more softer. Now, by thoughtfully deciding when or how to adapt, such as focusing on familiar objects or evaluating the context. So in this case, it means before we talk, we might want to understand what is the context, so it will not end up in misunderstanding or causing any more problem for us. Learners can transform challenges into avenues for development. In this case, learners need to accept if they are wrong, because in the end, only if we fail or end up in a wrong situation, we may learn. In this case, if we don't even risk to take, if we don't risk to take a challenge or take a wrong path, how can we improve if we don't know what is wrong and what is right? And now, moving to the last one, potential issues in which excessive reliance or avoidance or code switching or language switching can block advancement, in which in this case, over-reliance on translator apps such as Google Translate or DeepL may make learners too dependent on it and resorting in not continuing their pursuit in language education, because they talk like this. If the translator apps already provide me with what I need and already does the talk for me, for others, then why do I need to learn about it? That is the potential issues, such as translator apps. Over-reliance on translator apps may cause these issues, or maybe code switching or language switching. In this case, because we know our partner in talk understand what we mean if we use our native language, we don't even bother to learn about the actual language that we need to know. So in this case, learners or don't even we don't even study about those language because we find it no use because others have known, so because others have understand, so why would we need to learn? So this is also a potential issues. And that's it. I think that's all from me for direct strategies for a language, in which in this case, in conclusion, direct strategies consist of three different strategies in which we don't need to apply these three at the same time. We, in the end, to make it much more optimized, we might want to resort into one strategy at a time to make sure it's not about combining them or we might want to combine them all to find the best for our learners, in which if we the teacher or as a learner we might want to select which one is much more suitable for us in or at which much more suitable for our personal learning preferences. And that's it. I think that's all from me. I know I said a lot of things that doesn't make sense, in which it causes inconveniences, but yeah, I got a bit of language stuttering myself and language impairments, so I stutter a lot. And also, yeah, that's it. I'm sorry for inconveniences, and if my words were not good enough or pretty much a baby level, I'm sorry. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.